Right now, why are New Yorkers really so ready to forgive and forget? Is this the end of the sex scandal as a career ender in politics? And next, has the GOP finally gone off a deep end where the moderates just won't follow? Well, it takes some brave Republican voices, including one in our set tonight, to help maybe the party from saving itself. We're going to talk to just how that can be done. And later, are 20-year-olds in Twitter a recipe for disaster? In the good old days before social media, Johnny Manziel's youthful indiscretions wouldn't have just come and gone here without documentation or let alone consternation. But today, your offhanded tweets could haunt you for a lifetime. We ask, can kids still be kids in today's virtual world? Good evening, everybody, and welcome to RFL. I'm Richard French. Thanks so much for joining us this Thursday evening, July 18th. We're going to start tonight with a race for City Hall. We got some new numbers out here, and these poll numbers show that somebody that a lot of people were throwing dirt on as yesterday's news, Christine Quinn, is still very much alive. In fact, she's in the lead with 27% of the Democratic vote. Weiner coming in second with 18% according to this poll. And we ought to note here, first and foremost, that another poll just shows how maybe unsettled this race is. It has those very two positions flip-flopped with Weiner in first and Quinn in second. Interestingly, though, the quality in the same poll that was asked that New Yorkers want most in the next mayor is this, and it surprised me at least, was empathy first and foremost. All other traits offered, like business know-how, temperament, came in a way distant second, third, and beyond. So let's bring our panel on this. Tom Doherty, who made some news of his own today, a partner of Mercury Media, former advisor to New York Governor George Pataki. Dominic Carter, of course, political journalist and author. Richard Brodsky, former New York State Assemblyman, senior fellow at Demos, professor at NYU, Mr. Media, and Andrew Whitman, senior political correspondent here. All right. First off, on a broader level, you look at polls, Dominic, does this basically cement that we're going to have a runoff here, and it's probably going to be the two names I mentioned, or will we have a third name here? Will Thompson make a late push? What do the numbers say this late in January that Quinn, she's not seemingly going anywhere?
To quote Christine Quinn, Richard, polls go up, polls go down. That's what all politicians say. In all likelihood, there will be a runoff, but I'm not willing to say definitely that's the case as of yet. To avoid a runoff, you have to get 40% of the vote. I'm not willing to say that Bill Thompson might not be able, I know these guys are going to say I'm on some drugs, that Bill Thompson might not be able to avoid a runoff.
Who
we'll
of those
see.
two do you think is the most vulnerable? Weiner or Quinn? Who do you think winds up maybe not in the runoff?
Christine Quinn.
Well, the funny part about this whole thing is that in order for it to be Thompson, which I certainly think that he's underpolling right now, is that where a lot of the Weiner vote right now is in the African-American community. Yep. The person likely to get that vote would be Bill Thompson. So if anything, you would think that Thompson will leap over an Anthony Weiner. I still think there's certainly going to be a runoff. And unless Thompson starts doing and attracting and getting people excited about his campaign, which he should have by now, you're looking very much like it'll be a Quinn-Weiner runoff.
The problem with that is that black folk are infinitely more willing to vote for a white candidate than white folks have generally been willing to vote for a black candidate, especially Republicans.
What does that have to do with this race, though?
It has a great deal to do with whether or not he's underperforming and can come back.
Thompson.
It's a harder road to hoe because black people tend to be more open-minded about who they vote for. On the other hand, as a great man once said...
What?
Let me. I'll speak
explain
in
to me. Show me the last. Show me
By
the
the way,
last.
Andrew, Richard went there first.
Show
Here.
me,
Don's going to do
show
anything.
me the last
yeah.
race where an African-American citywide candidate of any substance, like a Dinkins or a Thompson, did not win the African-American vote.
No, I didn't say anything about
winning
the vote.
Right.
I said that there's a marginal tendency for African-American voters to be more candidate-oriented than identity-oriented.
End of the day, who makes a runoff?
Hold on a second. He interrupted me.
You went off on a tangent.
Here's the point. A great man just said polls go up and down. The polls right now are fairly meaningless. People are talking about their inclinations. They haven't thought about it. This will, unlike the Spitzer Stringer race, this will show this sort of cyclical effect until the middle of August when people will start emerging. What people have to do is position themselves. Billy Thompson is looking at black votes, he's looking at Hispanic votes, he's looking at Orthodox Jewish votes. Christine Quinn is looking for votes outside of Manhattan. The best thing a wise man could do right now, think about this for a second, is not say much.
Well, we're on a show to offer our opinion.
Thank you, Tom.
Why don't we just say we have no friggin' clue what's going on? We don't even know why we're sitting here tonight.
Since we don't
so
have
let's
any-
go off to Montana for a few weeks.
Heidi ho, hold on one second. Andrew, can you explain? No, I am. Empathy? What the heck are they talking about? The electorate?
Well, I mean, everybody wants a candidate who they think understands their concerns and understands their problems.
Is this translation? They're sick of Bloomberg.
They're sick of Bloomberg, and they're sick of what Bloomberg stands for, and they're sick of what the Republicans stand
Not
for.
just Bloomberg, Bloomberg and Giuliani.
Wait a second.
And
that.
and Casamatides.
Wait a second.
You guys are mired in
Let me ask you a
place.
question. What is, with all due respect, what is Bloomberg's unfavorable these days?
It's like 48% favorable. It's really
Thank you.
close to
It's
50.
after 3 terms in office, he has a 48% approval rating. He's so bad.
That's backwards looking. If you ask them what they want for the future, they want no more of him.
But he's not a guy like you say, well, I don't want to sit at a press conference with Mayor Bloomberg. That's just not the way it is in this race. The problem is
He's
that,
not
as
going
you
to
said,
invite me. I don't have to wait.
Okay, but here's my thing. Since when did New Yorkers of all electorate really care about empathy? Has it really?
I think they always have. I think voters everywhere always want, candidates who they think understands their problems and can follow
We were
them up.
talking, though, remember last night, Andrew, about Dinkins and about how most people thought he was a nice guy and all that, but at the end of the day,
was
they
incompetent.
blamed him for ineptitude, and they went with Rudy, who nobody thought was a nice guy from jump. And in the end, empathy went out the window because they wanted competence.
The big concern was back in the early 90s. It was safety and crime, and it was economics, and they felt that Giuliani better spoke to those issues and those concerns.
Let me get to the next one, which is you've run campaigns, you've won campaigns. It used to be not long ago that if they caught you screwing around, you were in a lot of trouble, and it might have even been a career ender. But now, look at the 2 races we're talking about most here, whether it be Weiner, and now all of a sudden we care about a city controller race because Eliot Spitzer's in. Is there a conclusion out of this that it's not a career ender anymore? It's, by the way, not just relegated to New York. They did a piece today in the Times on Vitter, a guy caught with prostitutes, Mr. Defense of Marriage Act here, and he could be governor if he just snaps his fingers. It's not a killer anymore,
No,
right?
because everybody has sex. Everybody thinks about sex. Sex is all over the place, and so
Finally, the Republican Party reveals itself.
no. I mean, the thing with the whole sex thing is that what I just said. Everybody has sex, and so what we don't like are people who steal, politicians who steal money from us. When that day comes and they start running and winning, that'll be a real problem. And you know what? Quite frankly, in every one of these cases, Spitzer's a little bit different because Spitzer, I really think, he broke the law. Now, I'm a libertarian who believes that we should legalize prostitution. But again, in the Weiner case, as dumb as it was, it's between him and his wife. If his wife wants to put up with it, I think he's stupid for doing it. Why wouldn't the general public
Did it all
go?
change because of Clinton? I mean,
No, it all
No.
changed because, unfortunately, he's right.
no, but Tom, I remember this.
Wait, let him say that again. Let him say that
But
again.
everybody is having really rose-colored memories here.
No,
Because
no.
I remember when the night the Clinton story broke and the 3 or 4 days of the news cycles after it, right? Everybody is, if this is true, and when they found the dress and the whole thing, he ain't making
And who's the
He's
most
dealing.
popular Democrat over the last 5 years?
Bill Clinton.
People are willing to forgive that stuff. They're not willing to forgive a thief.
Right.
But they're also not, perhaps, willing to forgive
A hypocrite.
a hypocrite. And
Larry
that's-
Craig, I can never forgive Larry Craig for tapping his foot in the men's room because he voted against
But
every piece of
Spitzer,
gay
by
legislation.
definition, is a hypocrite.
He is,
different
and that's
than the philanthropist.
that's different
And
than
David
right.
Vitter is a hypocrite also, being family values and then being on the DC Madams list. But it helps a lot if A, your constituents like you before the crisis or before
Exactly.
the scandal.
They know you.
And B, if you're playing to a constituency that's going to like your views anyway. So when you get Mark Sanford in a conservative district in South Carolina, they're more likely to reelect him, or Vitter in Louisiana, or Weiner and Spitzer in New York City.
Right, that's true.
You've been reading my columns again, huh?
Yeah. Finally, Dom, put a punctuation on this thing for the mayor's race. I know it's still early. I know we're getting towards the end of July. At this point, you have to bet money. You say if there's a runoff, who is it?
If I had to bet money today, I really would go with Bill Thompson. I really would.
As the winner or in the runoff?
As the winner of the Democratic primary.
Yeah, I mean, listen, if there's a runoff and Thompson's in it, he'll be the nominee. He just got, and the way I look at it, and Richard, tell me if I'm wrong, do you disagree that I really believe that it really comes down to if it's Weiner and either Quinn or Thompson, whoever faces Weiner wins the primary?
You were doing very well when you were saying, I don't know what's going on.
I'm asking your opinion.
Okay, my opinion is, I don't know what's going on. And sometimes, even on television, it's perfectly legitimate to look into the camera and say, I don't know what's going on.
Can we fill the chair with somebody else, please?
It's like
an empty chair there.
I'm so. Since when did Richard not claim to know the answer to everything? So that's where I'm having a double take.
Unfair. I was wrong once in 1956.
There you go.
I had the Braves. He's going on a minute and a half if I don't know.
Yeah. All right. Next up, the man to my left, and it's the only time he's on my left here, has made some news here. In fact, he was the lead story on Mr. Rush Limbaugh's radio program today. The subject, the GOP and whether or not they've finally gone off the deep end. And as we said before, some brave Republican voices here are speaking up. We're going to talk about that and also some of the fallout right after this.